I hope you do.
Rob Van Dam! Rob Van Dam! Rob Van Dam!
I'm Rob Van Dam. The whole show.
All right. Hey. It's Dominic D'Angelo, and it is RVDTV.com on RVD's YouTube channel, and it is one of a kind with RVD. It is trash night, but it's an even bigger night because guess what? We got Mr. Rob Van Dam with us. Rob, how are you, man? Happy Trash Day.
Thanks, dude. I am fantastic. Glad to be with you again for another episode, even though we just did one like 4 days ago.
Just 4 days ago.
Like that. Yeah.
What's up, Katie?
Hey.
Hey, Katie Forbes is here too, everybody.
Woo.
So, yeah. But hey.
And that's not all.
That's not all. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. This is like my wrestling fandom, ECW wrestling fandom, coming all together. My worlds are colliding finally because my two favorite ECW guys are on the show today. So, Rob, I'll let you do the honors here.
Thanks for being a guest on the show, my man, Little Guido.
Yeah. Oh, where is he? There he is.
Hey.
Hello there.
What's
Thank
happening?
you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for joining, Guido. Man, I've told Rob several times I was a huge mark for you back as a kid, being Italian, and then seeing that there was the FBI, and I was like, oh my god, this faction is fit for me. So,
Well,
good to have you on here.
Those are up. So we did it back in '97.
Yeah.
97.
You were up out of your seat dancing to my intro, weren't you?
Well, I wrestled Rob many times. Sometimes when I would hear that intro, I was like, oh God, it's going to be fun, but it's going to be always a good time, though.
Hey, where's that match from IWF that we had? Like, I remember seeing that somewhere.
Absolutely. You know what, Rob? Honestly, it took me like 5 years to convince you that we actually wrestled on that, and that was for Eddie Mansfield, IWF, Chubby MC, me, you, Grammar and Slammer or something. Billy Gunn was there back then.
Yeah.
But that match was out there. I don't know. I mean, I would have to like Google it, but that was for Eddie Mansfield.
Someone, either you or somebody, sent it to me, and seeing is believing. I didn't think that we had worked when you said we did way back in '91, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, I still wouldn't have known that was you if you didn't tell me. That's why I didn't know. It didn't look anything like you. You were a whole different person.
Yeah. I was at that time. I was Damian Stone. I was pretty fat, actually. I was like 200 pounds.
I couldn't find it.
In a bad way. 240, like heavy in the waist and everything. That's why you would never recognize me. And I started as Damian Stone.
Okay.
And then later on in life, when you saw me, was after I went to Japan and figured out what I got to do and all that stuff. Then you saw me in ECW, and that's why you didn't remember. But I always remembered you. So.
Well, I always tried to make it easy and look the same for you.
Yeah, always. But Eddie Mansfield was a character. He was one of the first guys. I got very lucky because he was one of the first guys like I was able to leave New York and to go work for in Florida. So that was like a big deal, even though I had to pay for my own travel there and whatever he gave us bucks or whatever. But still, he did like 5 shows in a row and tapings. And, it was a pretty big deal at that time.
Yeah, just being on TV at all. And they had the Universal Studios park before WCW came in and worked there and at MGM. But yeah, he had that way before. So that was cool. Otherwise, how would we have gotten vignettes of like RVD with Marilyn Monroe? One of my awesome prepubescent vignettes. Miss Monroe. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that was cool. Universal Studios TV, and yeah, he would do 5 shows in one day, and then he would advertise around the park that this as like an attraction. Come and watch these TV tapings, and when you would come in, he would lock you in. You weren't supposed to be able to leave while you're watching. You know, it's a hot set. Of course, you can't open the door and stuff. You know,
Soundstage, Rob. Soundstage 23.
Yeah,
That
it was.
And you know what's funny? After that, TNA also ran Soundstage 23 and a bunch of other shit. You know, we ran those same soundstages. But I remember the Price Right was next door, and I remember going to like visit that. That was like a big deal. That was like the set. They did California too, but I was like, the Price is Right was also next door. I remember that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because actually, oh no, what did I do? Family Feud, I guess.
Was that there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yep. Sure was.
That was that.
Yeah, that was full circle for me because from 90 or 91, whenever that was, Soundstage 23, and then it was like 2010 when I went back there, and I was like, holy shit, it's the exact same studio.
8 years
Pretty
later.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if my math adds up with yours, but you say from 1991 to 2010 is 8 years?
No, it's that 19. There's a lot more. 20 years. No.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Guido, did you grow up a fan and everything of wrestling, or how did you kind of get into the whole aspect of it? Where was it your athletic background?
I don't think I had anything at my athletic background because at 10 years old, I really didn't have any athletic background at the time, but I was just a huge, I remember seeing wrestling on TV, which was Channel 9 in New York by me, 10, 11 years old. And back then, I'm sure everybody's heard this story. I've said this 100 times. For me, I was watching Superstar Billy Graham and Bob Backlund, all those goes, Pedro Morales. And I just got hooked on it. It was Channel 9 and I always watching it. And then my father, I lived in New York. So I used to have my dad bring me down to Westchester County Center first and then Madison Square Garden all the time on all the local shows and stuff. And I used to make him wait outside. We waited for all the wrestlers to come out. So I'm a lifelong fan, like many of us are, and that's what makes great wrestlers, because when you love this sport, it comes from when you're a kid and you love it, and that's how I got involved. And then, I never did anything else really up until I pretty much left WWE. And because I started wrestling with UWFI back in the 90s, early independents were like the Savoldis and all them. And then I got very lucky and got an opportunity to go wrestle in Japan for UWFI. And I went there for a couple of years back and forth. And then right after that ended, ECW was just getting hot. I mean, it was after it was ECW Extreme, but it was just getting going and everything. And then I got an opportunity to go there, and then, Paulie brought me in as Damian Stone. And, I just kind of hung around for a while. And then all of a sudden he's like, you're Little Guido. And I was like, okay. And that's how it went.
It worked for me.
After that, JT Smith was already doing it. He's like, you're his cousin. Lost Battalion Hall. That's when we debuted. I debuted as his cousin. That's the same day that Dudley's debuted too. And they came out and beat the shit out of me and JT with chairs and shit. Lost Battalion Hall. Rob knows Lost Battalion Hall. Sure.
Yeah, but JT wasn't already an Italian, was he?
Yes, he was. He was already the first one. JT. Everybody always says Little Guido started the FBI, and I've said this. Little Guido did not start the FBI. JT Smith was the first Italian, and he introduced me in Lost Battalion Hall, which I was just saying. And that's when the Dudleys debuted. They beat the shit out of us with chairs, and I was his cousin. He got hit in the head with a frying pan. He thought he was Italian. I came out as Damian Stone. Joe Gertner at that time, it's all on, you could Google it. It's all over the place. Introduced me as Damian Stone, known now as Little Guido, JT Smith's cousin. And that's how the FBI was born, me and JT.
Wow. So JT was the OG one. He was the OG one.
So everybody always said I started. I did not. JT Smith started.
How about that? That's great. Man. Oh, yeah. Such cool stuff about all that, everything like that. So, we brought you on here too to talk a little bit about Sabu, obviously, and we've been having a lot of great guests on here, from Taz to Tommy Dreamer, and now you too, to talk about. What was your first interaction with Sabu? Do you remember all that, and how did it all go for you?
Yeah, I obviously I met Sabu when I went to ECW, and when like I said, when I first started working there, it was like early 95, 96. He was in and out at that time, or 94, 95. I might have the years a little mixed up, but I didn't really meet him until like 90, beginning of 96, where I was actually hanging out with like Tracy Smothers, Tommy Rich. They were like friends with him. I knew, Rob a little bit, but I really wasn't in that clique. Sandman I knew from back in the day. And then all of a sudden we all started, hanging out together. We had little cliques like we all did, we all just hang out in certain things. And I remember one time, I think I started hanging out with Sabu a little more with the guys. And it's funny because I mentioned this to Rob. I said I have a good story about him. And this is the way Sabu is, and I think you would understand, Rob would understand. But one time he came up to me when I started traveling with the guys, and this is before they went to Bago, but we started going to Sandman's van and all that kind of stuff. We weren't at that level yet with the Bago. And I started getting, meeting these guys, getting involved. And I remember Sabu came up. It was the ECW arena. And he came up to me one time and he's like, he goes, I don't like stooges. And I was like, okay. I said, okay. He's like, I don't like stooges. I don't travel with stooges. And now I'm traveling with him now. This is like the first. I already did a couple of times, but now it was getting like convenient. And I remember that. I said, all right. I said, why? I said, he goes, you travel with the Office. And I'm like, well, so backstory a little bit. I started with Taz, all those guys. I was very good friends. We all lived like 20 minutes apart from each other. Paul Lee lived only like 30 minutes from us. So we all were right there. So I used to go to Dreamer's house, leave my car there. Then we would go pick up Paulie and then, drive to the airport, go do what we had to do. And then they would go do what they got to do. Then I would just hang out with the boys. But he's like, you travel with the Office. I'm like, Sabu, what do they don't know? Like, who am I telling on? I got to tell on you. This fucking locker room is fucked up. What am I telling on? He's like, well, I don't travel. It took a little while for him to warm up with me. It took him a minute. It really did. I never actually said that story, but I thought of it after the passing because I never shared that. But that's just his passion and the truth about him. And that's the way he was. And I think Rob could attest to that, I would assume, And that was just a great story. And I just was amazed. Like, he basically didn't understand what he meant because I wasn't telling anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
That sounds like him.
Yeah.
But he's a great person. Do anything for him. So.
No.
That's what we hear. I mean, like Rob obviously knows, but like everybody, like, that we, from Taz to Tommy Dreamer, and then just everybody that you see online and all the great stories that they share about his generosity and kindness and stuff like that. It's, he was a guarded person, but it's cool that, when he opens up to you, which is great.
100%. Got to be in a circle. And be let in his inner circle, it takes a minute. It really does.
Right.
Yeah, he never wanted to be super approachable and have everyone feel super comfortable with coming up to him if they were strangers anyway. He wanted to be more like the Sheik and have that aura about him that was more mysterious, intimidating, and he'd rather have you be scared of him. I remember when we did a signing in Japan one time, and all the fans are lined up, and they take a picture with me and I guess me and Sabu both at the same time. And then after Sabu, felt funny because he hadn't done it that much at that time, and it was something I had to kind of had to bend him into even doing that. But, he would do this, and then after the camera, he would kick the fan in the ass. Boom! Every time.
Go on, get out of here.
That was his way of compromising and being like, all right, I'll do a stupid baby face picture with a fan, but they're getting their asses kicked.
A little pat.
And then everyone
Little pat.
they'd be like, oh, they'd be like holding their ass, like scared to turn their back on them to pose for the picture. Pretty funny.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guido. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Well, I was just gonna say, you were talking about Sandman. I remember one time when I don't know where we were, but Sandman found two parents, wrestlers' parents, outside somewhere. Like they had just pulled up to the building or whatever, and he thought he was being helpful. So he's like, "Oh, hey, follow me!" And he took them. And he, come on, and he took them and had him walk with him all the way down the hallway and stuff. He came in to the arena. This in the daytime, before the show, and brought them to me and goes, He goes, Van Dam. And he's like pointing at him like he's real proud of himself or something. It was your parents. Yeah. They were just like, oh, thank you. Like they didn't have any idea why they were following him all the way in. And
you know what? They actually met Sandman a few times, actually, from ECW. And my parents are doing very well right now.
Awesome.
Oh, really?
Very good.
Nice.
Very good. Tell them I said hello.
Rob, I will. And they know you did know your name. Katie, I'll tell them you said hello too. I'm sorry.
Yay, thank you.
All the guys just
Wait, now,
but in the early, well, no, Rob, I don't think you ever came to my parents' house, but in the early 90s, Tommy Rich, Tracy Smothers, back 97, 98, when we did the New York area and stuff, we would go to my parents' house because they lived right in New York near the Hammerstein Ballroom.
I went there, dude. I went there, actually.
oh,
Yeah.
You did. I wasn't sure if you did. Okay, yeah, that was my dad's house. Yeah, up in that,
Yeah, I
and,
remember that.
New York. Yep, Queens and all that stuff. Yeah, good times.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
What were your parents? Was your dad a wrestling fan too, growing up?
No. I was a wrestling fan. My dad just started taking me down to all the shows when I was like 12 years old because I started watching it. Always supported me 100%. And, I never went to college or anything. And when I told him at 19, after I graduated, I was going to be a wrestler and try it. And he did what all our parents would be like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I was a cool guy anyway, which he didn't do that. And, obviously things worked out for me. I was very lucky. It takes, your talent has a lot to do with this business, and Ron and Katie would say, but it takes your connections to put your talent in front of the right people to show what you got to do sometimes. So, it takes, it's not just your talent, it's sometimes who you know and how it works.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a balance of all that.
Weren't you wrestling for UWF when Gary Albright was there in Japan?
Yeah. I wrestled there many times with Gary Albright when he was wrestling Vader, and him and Vader had a shoot one time. This is like 1994 on one of those VHS tapes because we used to get the VHS tapes. And then I was also there when Gary Albright shot with Tamara. That was a big one. We all were at the current needs because UWF at the time was a shoot, but it wasn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was a work.
It was a shoot work.
It was a shoot work to the end. Don't get me wrong. If I was supposed to go over, this guy will beat the shit out of me and put me over if I didn't fight back. So that's what made it look more like a shoot because you are fighting, and then at the end, everybody's going to do the right thing. That's the difference. It was different than special.
That and K1 were, like different than the pro wrestling companies in that way over there. K1 came across like a kickboxing match, like a shoot. Total shoot.
Pancreas at that time, Rob.
Oh yeah, Pancreas too.
That's Ken Shamrock. So UWFI and Pancreas was around the same time. But
Wow.
I was really I was a work shooter. I got trained with Billy Robinson. I did shoot matches as far as practice wise mostly, but otherwise when we went to UWFI, it was it was a work to the end, and then you took the fall and did what you had to do.
Right.
But so I was a couple of times, Gary was a tough motherfucker, and sometimes he didn't want to do what the office wanted. And I remember him and Tamara shooting, and a couple of other ones too. Vader shooting too, and I was very young at the time, and I'm like, oh my god, what the hell's going on here? I'm like, I was just wrestling on Universal Studios for Eddie Mansfield, and now I'm fucking watching these maniacs do this shit. I'm like, this is it all happened that fast for me at that time.
Yeah, and Gary was like a national. I don't know if he was a national champion or what was he?
I think he was
NCAA
wrestling champion.
Okay, yeah. So he knew what he was doing.
You know, Gary. Then you know what? He's always good to you, but like in Japan, when you would go out, he would want to fight. Never really me, but everybody in the group. You know, so nobody really wanted to go out. You know, Gary was a partier, and I mean, Rob, I'm just telling stories. Gary was very rough, and you know, nobody wanted to deal with him at 3 a.m. in Tokyo.
That's the Gary that I knew.
And I love him.
Danny Croffett was close with him and gave him the nickname Hyde, like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
because we go out to Hard Rock, he'd be in a good mood and everything. After a few drinks, he's like, "Come on, pussy boy!" You know, on his knees, trying to get people to fight him.
100% Hyde. I know Hyde.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So,
one time coming out, do you remember Jim Steele, Jungle Jim Steele?
Florida, right? Was he?
Yeah, big 280-pound dude. He was in Japan. He had a hood for a while, like Wolf, I think, or Thunder Wolf, some shit. And he was Jungle Jim Steele in WCW. Anyway, good dude, big dude. He was part of that time when we for Eddie Mansfield and all. You know, when I was on in Florida, when I wrestled you. And anyway, I remember one time in Japan, because we were both there for All Japan, coming out of Hard Rock Cafe in Roppongi, and everyone was fine. Everyone was fine, and it would just happen that quick. You know, we walked out, and we're on the walkway to the main street from Hard Rock. You know, it was sunk back in there, and then all of a sudden, Gary just stops and goes, "I'm not going anywhere with him," and points Jim out. He wants to fight Jim, you know. And then, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? He's Ace's boy. Like, fuck you, you're a stooge. I'm not going anywhere with Ace's boy. And Jim was like, oh.
He pulled the Sabu on me.
Sabu. Oh, did Sabu do that? Oh, yeah, kind of. Yeah, except for he was, I mean, Sabu was probably joking.
No, that was aggressive.
I don't know if Sabu was joking or not. It's hard to say because I wasn't there, but Gary definitely was, and he smacked him across his face. Smack, you know, and Jim, just big bodybuilder dude, huge dude, and he was just like, Gary, I like you and I like Johnny. Like, what's the problem? I'm not a fighter, dude. I don't want to fight you. And he did that. He did that to me actually, like one time, and I just rolled my eyes. I'm not getting in the cab with Van Dam. I think he said the same thing. He's Ace's boy because he saw me talking to Johnny, and that was a death sentence for him. And it was just me, him, and Croffett. And the sun was already up. We'd already missed the trains to go back to the hotel. And it was like, get in this cab or we're not going to go. And then, I'm not getting in there. But all right, we just shut the door. Let's try the next one. And I just rolled it off because I didn't feel like he was going to, go there with me because, I felt like he liked me, but he was in that mood though.
Yeah.
You say everything that I knew, but I can't say the same.
No change in the mood if he's in that mood,
Yeah.
I hated being out late with him. Not that I was many times, but late night isn't that good.
Yeah.
He never really picked on me. I was a lot smaller than him. He was beating everybody bigger up than me.
Yeah. No, he turned on me a few times now that I think about it. Me and Mike Lazansky on his first trip, he was mad at us. He was mad at us. Oh, what's that, bro? Your voice, your audio.
No, I said, love Mike. God bless Mike.
Oh, yeah. Well, one time in Japan, met with Mike or what's his name? Gary turned on us because we were pretty boys, and he was trying to get with some girl that didn't want to get with him, and so he was mad and wanted, fucking shit on these pretty boys. Man, the scariest thing, one time he was diabetic and he had to take the shots and stuff. Oh. And one time me and him and Bobby Duncum Jr. were in a room, and Gary was falling out hard. You know what I mean? He was just like, he was like being non-responsive and talking a little bit of gibberish, and then he just like laid out, like fucking took a bump and on the bed or something, and Bobby was like, we got to give him a shot, man. Damn, I was going, whoa, are you sure? Because I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck to do. Like, what if you give him a shot and it kills him or something? You know?
Yeah,
I don't
right?
know. I don't know nothing about that shit. And Bobby's like, no, trust me. Where's your insulin? Where's his insulin? And he went through, and he found it. And then and he's like, he's Bobby Duncum Jr. Man, all these guys are dead. He pulls Gary's pants down, so his ass is there, and he's got the needle. And Dill Wilkes walks in, another dead brother. Patriot walks in, and he sees Bobby with the needle and the ass hanging out, and stuff. And he came in eating chips or something. And he was like, "Oh hell no!" And just turned around, just walked right out of the room, shut the door, like I wasn't here. And he gave him the shot, and it didn't kill him.
Good.
Oh.
Bring him back to life.
Not right away, gave him a shot, and me and Bobby ended up leaving because Gary was saying that he was feeling better and that he needed a while or something. But I was not gonna make that call. I had no idea,
Yeah.
I don't even know if you inject the diabetic stuff into somebody's ass. I don't know where it goes.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been.
Now we're at Bobby Duncum Jr. and somebody can fact check me. But it's funny. You guys remember John Edwards?
I don't.
I mean, I know the median that talks to spirits.
What?
Oh, okay. I
I
know the story.
You know the story. So
Yeah.
I didn't know until the end when the wife. So, okay. So you know what I'm talking about. So I couldn't believe that, they were telling this story about this guy, never said who he was. Then at the end, they revealed this was Bobby Duncum Jr., professional wrestler, and this and that. And I was like, holy shit, that's Bob. Which obviously, Rob, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, I think because his wife and his daughter were at a John Edwards seminar. They happened to be at a hotel where this was going on, and they happened to go in there and watch. And he was talking about.
He went to them and talked to them.
Yeah, but I don't think he named them though. They just.
I watched. Not even knowing it was him until they said it was him. Like,
wow,
story, and then they said Bobby Duncum. I'm like, holy shit, that's.
Are you there?
Yep,
you were there.
Say again.
You were there.
I wasn't there. I watched it on TV. It's not live. But John Edwards would come on every week on TV. They're always taped shows. So one episode I was watching, that his death was on, but I didn't know the whole way through until at the end when they say this was Bobby. He was a professional wrestler.
Was that his wife that said? Yeah. Okay.
Gave the whole spiel at the end. I didn't even know who they were talking about in the beginning because he comes to you. So he ended up coming to her and saying this and saying that, but never brought up professional wrestling. But he mentioned something. We would have to go back and watch it, honestly. This is many years ago. But it mentioned something about a spotlight type of thing, but never wrestling. And then when they went to her afterwards and interviewed her, she said, my husband was Bobby Duncum Jr. But I'm like, fuck, there it is. There it is. I'm sure we can Google it.
Oh, yeah, I bet you. I'm trying to do some searching right now, too. Man. But yeah, I forgot about John Edwards. Yeah, the medium.
Yeah, that stuff's interesting. Katie and I had somebody tell us that this is hearsay, but that a median told her that Sheik and Sabu's mom and Melissa came for him that night, and this person was there when Sabu passed and said that he kind of resisted, and they said no, it's time or something, and they were there for him, and I find that fascinating. Like, that's a future conversation that I look forward to having.
Wow, yeah.
believe in that stuff. I
I
honestly
do too.
afterlife, I believe there's a light and everything like that, and I actually believe that. I always have, and that's why I watch like John Edwards and stuff, because I would go there and sit there. People are like, "Oh, how does this guy know what you're saying?" When they do it to people that you know close, you understand. And even me watching that, and I did like minor ones, never like John Edwards. I did some bullshit ones around, and I've done that before, and they come close, and I'm like, how do these people do it? I'm a believer. I could be bad, but I'm a believer.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pretty fucking amazing to watch the ones that are on TV that are so talented. Even that little Macaulay Culkin looking, Tyler, dude, like he's so good. I always feel like when I'm watching that show, like if you got a median with you that's opening up some kind of door to the other side, and you can talk to lost loved ones, why do the people use that time to cut him off and interrupt and to share their stories and shit? I would be like, dude, if I only got 30 minutes with you, I want you to fucking no shutting your mouth. Keep talking. What else you got? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll be like, this guy is saying, I don't know. He's saying he keeps doing this, which means that maybe did you go fishing with him when you were a kid? They'll be like, oh my God, and they'll take 10 minutes, and this dude's leaving. He's on the clock, and they'll be like, oh my God, yes, we used to go down to the river like from about when I was 3 till I was 15. That was like a real big important part of my life, and my dad used to take me, I'd be like, dude, fucking what else you got? I'll tell you, don't even go. What else? Who else is there? All right.
Give me all the info.
Who else is in line? Who else is in line?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sabu there? Is Sheik there? Is Louie there? Is my dad there? Who else? Come on. Instead, they're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. You're right. I carry this thing because shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Talk about being on the clock. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Gary and Sabu got along really well because they like to party heavy,
Yeah.
That seems to be a common denominator. But Sabu got along with everybody. But Gary was jealous also of my relationship with Sabu. It was weird.
Aww.
Yeah.
Really?
It was weird. Yeah.
Because he wanted you to be his bestie.
He wanted Sabu because Gary wanted Sabu to be his bestie, and I was Sabu's bestie. So he would sometimes say that, or be like they should be tagging and this and that, and yeah.
Guido, who did you befriend early on, like in your wrestling career? Who was like somebody that you got really close with starting off?
Actually, guys, when I first started was actually Kodiak Bear, who Rob may know that. You may know Kodiak Bear. He was a good friend of mine. He never made TV anything. These are guys that helped me early on. If you're asking me for names or you're asking me for guys that helped me that you probably may not know who they are.
Yeah, it could be both, either one. Yeah, if you want to give them a shout.
Gino Caruso helped me tremendously. Kodiak Bear, Rocky Jones, Jerry Fazio, who wrestled in the WWE as Executioner, which there was 1,000,001 of them.
Yeah.
And these are all guys that helped me in the very beginning before I ever, just when I was starting independence and stuff. And the Savoldis is how I started. And when I started with Mario Savoldi, Tommy Savoldi, they were running the IWCCW. And Rob, you might remember this. It was on a sports channel in New York. And, I started working for them. And it was me, Tommy Dreamer, Taz. Taz was actually a Tasmaniac at the time. Flex Lavender, and we were on a sports channel. And that's how I met all those guys. So I got friendly with them. And then I ended up going to UWFI. And then ECW became Extreme Championship Wrestling. That started to turn over.
Yep.
So when I came back from Japan, when UWF closed down, I remember I called Pablo Marquez. Rob, remember Pablo Marquez?
Of course.
I went to Puerto Rico and I wrestled for Carlos Colon, and Pablo was there. And this is just when UWF closed. And he's like, "Oh, I'm wrestling ECW," and he goes, "Tommy Dreamer's there, Taz, blah, blah." And I knew all those guys. I said, "Oh wow, tell them I said hello." Tell them, He's like, "Oh, come to ECW." I said, "Well, tell them I said hello." This was then. I said, "Okay." The next time I went back to Puerto Rico, it was like a month later. He's like, "Oh, Tommy Dreamer told me to call him, give him a call." And that's how I started. I came home, I called Tommy. He said, "Come down to Lost Battalion Hall, Queens." Not Elks Lodge, Lost Battalion Hall. That was the first one we used to run. And that's where I met Paulie. And they introduced Paul. And I didn't do the Little Guido gimmick for a long time there. I did Damian Stone. He used me, not on really TV. Well, he did, just beat me up. But it was like 3-4 months until all of a sudden he did the Little Guido thing. And then all of a sudden I became JT Smith's cousin.
Yeah. How was it too pairing up with like Tommy Rich and Tracy Smothers and all of that?
Rob could tell you I had a lot of headaches early on. Professionally with these guys. Great. I love them. But they put me through the mill. New York broke my fucking balls. And Rob knows exactly what I'm talking about. To a point where it was. Rob remembers Michigan, I believe. Was it Michigan? Wherever you were in that house that time. I think me and Tracy got into it a little bit. Sabu was there. You might not remember, but.
Yeah, it sounds really familiar, but I can't remember.
I never mentioned it. It was in a house. We went to that guy's house that used to always have us over.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And me and Tracy got into it to face.
Really?
Yeah, maybe Ohio. I think your guy was
and I talked about that with Tracy way before I bet.
Yeah.
It's all crazy.
But Tommy Rich, like his whole attitude was, "You're a punk."
Yeah,
that's all. Like,
because I was a New Yorker, they fucking fucked with me all the time. So I had it miserable because I was a New Yorker. They came from the South, and it was like, and that was their thing. And back then, that was a big thing. The rib. That was a big thing. Like, Rob, you know what I'm talking about. And they rode me. They rode me at the end. Sometimes
you would get hot. My favorite was when you wanted to fight Nicole Bass over that chicken sandwich.
Remember that? In the fight me. I didn't fight her. She came to the room, wanted to fight me.
Because of the chicken sandwich.
Fight me. I didn't want to fight her.
Is that the way it went? I thought she ate your chicken sandwich and you wanted to fight her.
I ate hers. And she...
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's how that went.
But I remember you were like, "I don't care. I'll fight her."
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was not the Travelodge. That was the Holiday Inn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember actually at the ECW arena, the drama that was carrying over there. The sandwich disappearing might have been a Travelodge, but I remember the drama made it to the TV. Where you were like, you were still hot at each other, and you're like, "I don't care, I'll fight her." She's,
because she wouldn't let it go. I'm like,
she's a big dude.
He was.
Another one that is passed on, by the way. Yeah.
Did she die?
I don't know. Do you know how she died?
Let me look it up.
Yeah, Bob. She used to go out with Bob.
Oh. She passed away in 2017. She was 52 years old. Yeah. Bob Food. Yeah, Bob. She was married to till 2013. Yeah.
Does it say how she passed?
Taking a look. Let's see. I'm sure
I saw her like shortly before that in New York City. Just
they say girlfriend Kristen Marone posted a statement on Bass's official Facebook stating that Bass has been hospitalized after being found unconscious at her apartment. Is later declared medically brain dead following a heart attack. So it was a heart attack.
God.
Yeah, she had a heart attack.
Right. Damn.
So,
but anyway, like the back in the ECW, when it was kind of cliquish, everyone got along, but people would go hang out with people that would be magnetized towards people doing what they wanted to do, So like when I would always be smoking, me and Sabu, Mustafa, Spike Dudley, and we would find a place outside to smoke, and Little Guido would be there with us for like the first half of it, and then he would just disappear. Like he would never say goodbye. He would do one of those Irish goodbyes, we call it. And it was like every time, like he would only want to smoke so much, and you were always kind of a little paranoid, like looking over your shoulder while you were doing it. And then pretty soon it'd be like poof, be like, "Hey, where'd Gwiz go?"
Well, you got like an hour, 45 minutes. I'm like, these guys.
Yeah, true. We'd be out there all day.
I'm like, what are you kidding me?
That's true.
Even college, I remember that. That's what he was talking about too.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, come say hello.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
Hey.
How are you?
What's up, Nick? Hey, I carried you when you were a
okay.
little baby.
Look at that. The BWO shirt too representing. Heck yeah.
I remember carrying Nicholas when he was a baby in the baby carrier. But it was on steps. Like you had one side and I had one side, and I was like so scared because I was like totally uncomfortable with babies, and I was just like, oh my God, what if I drop this? Like, what if it slips? And I was just like trying so hard, like with every step, to put my all into it. But,
yeah. Now he's a grown man.
Yeah, look at him.
One day you'll be a great father. One day.
I don't know.
Yeah. Guido, when I first met you, it was at the ECW Arena for a House of Hardcore show, and it was like in Philly, obviously, and stuff. So, but I wanted my picture taken with you, and it was Nick that took the picture of us. So, that's pretty cool. Yeah, he took the picture of us. So, pretty darn neat. Good to see him. Is he in college or what is he doing now?
Well, he's in college. This is last year of college. He goes up to. He plays football for Utica, so this is last year. He's going to college to be a teacher, and my wife got him to school. She works in my wife got him a job. She works in the school, so when he's home now and stuff, he can't call him a substitute because he's in college. He's like a teacher's aide, teacher's assistant. You don't have that title.
Yeah.
But it's like whatever, a few bucks an hour, and it works, and it's also good for his resume. So, because he wants to be a gym teacher, what's better job? You show up in shorts and a fucking t-shirt.
Yeah.
Just as much as a science teacher, but you show up in shorts.
That's it. That's great.
I get how he got the fitness interest from you, because another thing I remember, we would be either at the Travel Lodge or eventually we moved to the Holiday Inn in Philly, but we would be partying till 2 or 3 in the morning. And hell, we didn't even get out of the TVs until at least 1. But and then we go drink the bar till it closes down. Then we hit the hotel rooms and shit. And then Little Guido would get up and jog like 8 or 9 in the morning or whatever.
Philadelphia, run around the Holiday shit. That was a fucking thought. I don't know what the fuck.
And you stayed like so lean and shredded too, doing that. It was crazy.
I was drinking and stuff, and I was so into working out. I was like, crazy days. Good times though.
Yeah.
How was it, Guido, for you to kind of like legitimately like be a credible wrestler in the ring, but also balance the like comedy aspect of that all? Was that a challenge for you to kind of embrace some of the comedic stuff, or did that kind of come to you naturally in certain ways? No,
I did. You know what? I never had to work on it. My deal was this would happen, like we talked about earlier. I did UWFI. When I did the shoot wrestling and all that shit, which is legit fighting. When I ECW, Taz was doing that shit. So there's no way they would ever thought of bringing me in and using any of that. Because it was the guy doing the shoot fighting. That was what he was doing. And that's why, Paulie used me as Damian Stone for, a few months. And then all of a sudden he ended up putting me in the comedy stable. But that was my position at that time. I didn't care. That was the spot. And then I did that for many years and stuff. And then they got and then Tracy and Tommy came along and all that stuff. And then when they got rid of them, they made me a singles guy for a little while, and got a little serious. And I started doing Super Crazy as Jerry and all them as like a one-on-one competitor. And that was kind of towards, unfortunately, when ECW was coming to a close,
Right.
So that's how they eased up. But you know what? the comedy stable is longevity. You know, thank God when I went to WWE, think about it. When I went to WWE, they hooked me up with Johnny Stamboli and Chuck Palumbo. Me being with them in 2002 as a cruiserweight. Now there's me, Jamie Noble, you know, Shannon Moore at the time, Funaki, even Chavo. You know, there was like 8 of us, and they were doing the cruiserweight thing. But I didn't do that for a while because they had me with those guys. I was actually working. We were doing stuff with Brock Lesnar. We were doing stuff with Batista because I had these 2 bodyguards with me. The first year and a half I worked there, I came out with a leather jacket. I didn't even wrestle. I was a man. I take like a bump a night. But those guys, because of that gimmick, had me not doing nothing with the cruiserweights for like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years before they broke Johnny and Chuck up and stuff. Then I got dumped into the cruiserweight division, but then I was at least fresh there because I was not part of that when they were doing all that stuff. I was very lucky, and by me being with them, I did stuff with Brock Lesnar. You know, I was able to be involved with big time names, which puts us, you know, on the map. You know, do stuff with Undertaker, all those guys. You know, Eddie Guerrero, Benoit, get a chance to wrestle everybody there. You know, so you know, I was very fortunate. I really, really was.
It was such a neat dynamic because the FBI was so different in the in ECW, and then you get in with Chuck Palumbo and Johnny Stamboli. It was a different kind of vibe going on at the time with all that stuff. And
yeah, they had a different vibe. I don't think ECW really had a vibe. You put me and JT together, actually, we just fucking went out there and did what we did, and they evolved, you know. And then the way that ended, JT quit. I don't know, you know, and he. That ended. He quit, went to move to Virginia.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. So then he was.
Did you get trained by Johnny Rods, Squiz?
I was not trained by Johnny Rods. I was trained by Kodiak Bad, Gino Caruso, and Mike Masters.
Okay.
Parsippany, New Jersey. Johnny Rods did. He was in Brooklyn. He did Taz. He did Angel. He did Big Vito, Tommy Dreamer. They all came out of Johnny Rods' school. I came out of Parsippany.
I met Gino Caruso recently. Actually, he was with God. As soon as I go to say his name, I blank. Damien. The one Louie called Padded Guy. Padded Guy. There was this. Damien. I don't know. Damn it. Anyway, we did some footage for a video game. What do you call it when you put the sensors on and film it?
Motion capture?
Motion captions.
Yeah, we were doing that in a school, I guess, that Gino Caruso runs now.
That's the school I went to in 1991, where you went in Parsippany, New Jersey, because I did the motion captions there too for this. But I started that school in 1991. I was in Parsippany, New Jersey. You got up the steps, you went to the left. That's where I went to wrestling school, and Gino trained me there.
Devin Storm. That's what I'm
Crowbar.
Yeah, sorry, Crowbar. Blanking.
Yeah, Crowbar. But Devin Storm used to train up there, but Devin Storm was trained by Mike Sharp.
Oh, yeah, Iron Mike Sharp. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. So Wikipedia's got it correct because I think they have you being trained by Billy Robinson on there.
Well, no, they do have it correct, but Billy Robinson trained me in shoot style. So when I started professional wrestling in 1992, I went to the Parsippany where Rob's talking about in that school way motion captions, and I started my wrestling career there. Not career. I started training at a school, and I trained for like 3 years professionally. Then I went to UWFI, and I couldn't do any American style. They would not, because that was like a shoot style, and they wouldn't. Only thing that the good thing that saved me there is they trained me on the shoot style, but I was already an amateur wrestler. They didn't have to teach me that part. I already knew how to wrestle. So all they had to do is add the submission, which I knew nothing about. You know, so I got trained by Billy Robinson in the UWF style, shoot style. I got trained professionally by Gino Caruso's school of Kodiak Bear, Mike Masters, and them guys. So I got trained 2 different ways because it's 2 different styles.
Wow, so well-rounded there, right there. How about that? Dang, man. How was it training with Billy? Was it because I've heard stories about him being a bully and certain things like that, but was he pretty good to you overall?
By the time I met him, he wasn't a bully anymore. He kind of took me in under his wing. Billy Scott, Gene Leidick, who I think Rob remember Billy Scott, Gene Leidick. They were big time. Tom Burton, at the time. Tom was a little bit of a dick, but
wasn't Gene Leidig Jeff Husker? Same dude.
I don't know. I
North,
don't. Gene
like
Leidig.
isn't he a North Carolina dude, like a football player?
No. I'll Google him after this, but I don't think so. But Gene Leidig, we lived in Tennessee together. He did the UWF stuff, and that's where we all lived. So that was it.
I feel like it was the same dude. Maybe it's Jeff
It
Husker.
might be. I don't know. I don't know that.
No.
Never heard that name.
Jeff Husker, Rob? Is that what
Yeah,
you
in South Atlantic Pro Wrestling.
Jeff Husker.
They called him Jeff Husker there. I think that's it, dude.
Shoot wrestle. Me, him, and we all lived in a house in Nashville with Billy Robinson. And they used to pay me to train in Nashville 5 days a week, and then they would send me to Japan. Not just me, but the group every 3 weeks. And we did that, and they paid us to train, and then paid us when we went to Japan. And it was a full-time job. We had
Wow. Yeah, if it's the same dude, I stayed in a house with him in Charlotte, only for like 2 weeks. But him and Tommy Angel, what's the German dude? Those guys, they're listening to this, and I'm blanking on their names. Anyway, what's that? No, not real German. I don't know. You didn't see that? You didn't find on the Gene Leidig or under Jeff Husker?
No, I looked at Jeff Husker. All I'm seeing is like UWF stuff, and it is South Atlantic you were talking about. South Atlantic, and they just have a little statistic.
UWFI.
I think it's the same dude.
Yeah, might be.
Yeah, nice guy. Thick. I think he used to wear glasses, like blonde hair, or whatever. If that's, but yeah, they, man, I was so young, and I was in South Atlantic after USWA, and him and Tommy Angel were like, "Well, we got someone that's leaving. Got a room empty if you need somewhere to stay." And I was just so young and awkward, like I don't even know if I thanked them. I was staying there for a minute, and they were just like, "Hey, you mind like grabbing dishes or something?" I didn't even know how to do dishes. I was like, "Oh my god." It was so awkward.
You could grab them. You didn't know what to do after that.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
I could find them.
Yeah.
They wanted you to start helping out.
Yeah, they wanted me to help out. They were. I don't think they were charging me, or they were going to start charging me, and I was like, "I don't think I'm staying." And I quit and went back home.
What was it when we used to stay in Boston at that and we used to like run under the fence?
Yeah.
Cheesesteak.
We called it it was called the Town Line Inn, but
Town Line Inn, that's the hotel. That's the hotel.
Yeah, but the boys called it the White Line Inn because so much cocaine was done there.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to cross the 93 or whatever that highway.
90, we're all fucked up running across this street like idiots.
Yeah, it's amazing that we all made it. So many times, be like, I don't know if Sandman's gonna make it or Sabu or whoever. Like, we had to run across the lanes, and then there was a meeting, and
Again.
you had to step up over a pylon,
Yep.
and then go down under a fence and up the other side of the pylon, and then run across those lanes. And it was like, we were all fucked up. So
It's like Frogger.
those are the Soma days. To get it all to get a roast beef sandwich.
We barely ate anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun times.
We got some super chats here. Frankie Chorizo, thanks for the $5. He says, question for both guys. How did it go the first time you did have a conversation with Paulie? Also, any Travel Lodge stories? Your first conversation with Paulie, do you remember Guido at all? Or was it the Damian Stone thing where he was?
Well, the funny thing is, the first thing that conversation I had is one time I went to Lost Battalion tour when Dreamer told me to come down and meet him, and I introduced myself and I said my name is Damian Stone, and the first thing he goes, "I know who you are," and he shook my hand. And I didn't work that night, but that was the first time I actually like met him. And again, this was like it was Lost Battalion Hall, and I didn't work that night, but that was pretty much the first time. I didn't know he knew who I was, but Paulie knew the sheets. But Damian Stone, like there was no, I was never on TV, but Paul knows everything, so who knows? And you know what? He probably had no clue who I was, but he told me that.
Yeah.
So that. That's what he said.
How about that? Rob, do you remember your first time meeting Paul?
Well, I remember the first time talking to him, I was on the phone, and Sabu had been pressing him for a long time to make this call. And when he finally called me to book me, because Sabu was trying to get me up there in ECW, Paul wanted me to come up there that weekend in Philly and do TV, and he wanted me to put Mikey Whipwreck over.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wrestling at the time for All Japan, making at least $3,000 a week. I think I was making more than that.
Wow.
And he wanted me to come up for $150 and put Mikey Whipwreck over, and I was like, I'm good, bro. I'm all right. Thank you. And then Sabu was pissed. He goes, he what? And then he called back. Might have been a week later or whatever. And then booked me to wrestle Axel Rotten, which I did do. A lot of people remember seeing that. And got the price upped, and
Nice.
and RVD went over, and that was my introduction to ECW. Was that match with Axel Rotten in Philly. And on that same weekend, I did the very last show of the Lost Battalion Hall, which Guido's talking about. It was the last time ECW was there, and they went to the Queen's Elks Lodge from that point on.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yep. I mean, Chris Jericho, I guess we wrestled each other. Or we might have been in a tag team. I don't know. But we worked together that night at the Lost Battalion.
Same night.
Might have been a tag team against the Eliminators, or we could have wrestled each other. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Was that when Brian Pillman was there? Because that was towards the last days, too, at Last Battalion Halls when he invaded it.
I was there and was already had already been there a few months as a heel when Pillman was there, and they had me for some reason. I probably was fresh heel trying to get heat probably, but had me wheel him out there in the wheelchair that night that he got heat with New Jack, and New Jack wanted to fight him.
I remember. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, in real life, yes.
Yeah, I guess Pillman used the N-word,
Yeah.
and
That was,
New Jack didn't care for it.
I remember that.
Yeah. So when he was in the back, he was like wanting to fight him, and Pillman's like sitting in a chair. I think his legs were stapled like into the thing or whatever. He had that bad car accident, and it was like, I don't think this fight's gonna happen. Someone might get smacked. That's about as far as it'll go.
Man, jeez.
Yeah.
Yes.
Travel Lodge stories. Man, I used to like no, that was a Holiday Inn that had the bar downstairs. The Travel Lodge have a bar? They did, didn't they?
Had the bars downstairs. Yep.
They did. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Man, that was so long ago.
Yeah, that was. Well, that's when we first started going there in like 95, 96. And then we moved right over to the Holiday Inn. That was when we became stars back then.
We got kicked out because we got kicked out of Travel Lodge for partying the
pool, Rob. Didn't somebody drown in the Travel Lodge pool? Do you remember that? Or died on the 19th floor? Somebody died somewhere.
Right. I remember Sabu saying something about a chalk outline of a body or something.
Right.
Jeez.
The one.
I think it was Sabu's story.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
Him. I've heard. I don't know.
So
all I know is New Jack peed on my rat.
Yeah. Yeah. The Travel Lodge stories, it's like an ongoing thing on this show. We always do.
It was circular, and man, sometimes I would do so many laps looking for my door. Just keep walking around and around, like, where is it?
Then we just lay down in the hallway. I've done it many.
So many times.
Over like, where if I knew, they're like, "Where's your room?" If I knew, I wouldn't be laying here.
Yeah.
All Blue Meanies tuned in. He says both stories are true. I think if he might be referring to the Pillman story, maybe.
Oh, Meanie's on Gwiz.
Meanie's on. Shout out to Meanie.
And his son's wearing his shirt.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I don't know if Meanie saw that, but yeah.
He loves that shirt.
Classic. It's a classic.
I forgot already.
Oh yeah.
Well, both stories are true. Oh, about someone died in the pool then, and a draw, and a knockout line maybe.
God, people get
It
murdered.
was a shithole. I don't really remember like how shitty it was. I remember like I was at that point in my career where we were still expected to partner up, you know.
Yeah.
Which you did a lot, I think, later anyway, because by your choice or whatever. But Paul would book me with somebody I don't even know. That's how I met Mustafa. That's how I met Lance Storm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was Lance Storm like, please don't smoke weed in the room?
You and Storm are opposite. I could not see you with him. But remember we used to do the promos on the 17th floor? Do you remember that? We used to Travelize.
Yeah. After the show, super late. Yeah.
17th floor, 16th floor, whatever it was. We used to fucking boil run to 5 a.m.
Yeah. Paul told me just stop by sometime and just watch what we do because I didn't want anything to do with doing a promo. Just stop by. We're on there, you know, all night. Just watch what we do. I'm not going to force you or anything. And went up there one time to check it out, and then, you know, eventually started talking and then got comfortable with it, especially working off of Fonzie or Sabu. But at first, though, like I was like, can I just, you know, do my shit in the ring and, you know, let the other people that like that part of wrestling talk smack.
And look at how you ended up. You're pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Not in the ring. I'm talking about speaking.
I just know what I'm talking about.
Did you like doing promos, Guido?
I did. You know what? To this day I hate doing promos. What I like doing is skits.
Yeah.
Shit, like with all my partners and stuff, and play off each other.
Where's my pizza?
Yeah.
Classic.
I want to go out there and say, Rob Van Dam, I hate you. I'm gonna kick your ass on the 31st or whatever. I rather do skits. I like skits. And then the good thing about the FBI is we used to do a lot of skits, and sometimes they get you over. You know, you know, I hated those. So promos I liked as far as skits, I guess. That was my stuff.
Well, you mentioned working with Brock Lesnar, and I remember it was like last week I saw the clip of you backstage with him, and you slap him, and then he chases you, and then Chuck and Johnny, I think, pull up a forklift and jam him into the door or something like that.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, if you watch that, what you did, your forklift broke the wall. Vince had to pay for that wall because Johnny did not know Chuck Palumbo. It was me, Johnny, and Chuck. Chuck was driving the high-low, and when he hit the wall, he drove through it. So they had to pay for that because it wrecked the back room, whatever it was.
Oh, shit. I was wondering about that.
That's funny.
Again, thank God for those guys. I was able to be on TV with guys like Brock Lesnar and stuff like that. And smack him in. I challenged him first. I was a cruiserweight champion, right? I think, right? That's what it was.
You might have been at the time. Mm-hmm.
Poked him and slapped him. And then it led to like mini matches, but you know, I don't care if it's 4 minutes. It's fucking good for me.
Yeah,
Rob wouldn't say that, but I'm good with 4 minutes for Brock Lesnar.
Pretty good. Rob, how did you like work with Brock?
I liked it because he was so physically gifted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I remember. He was like, and so strong and so physically gifted. The first time I wrestled him in that the tournament where I ended up wrestling Jericho too, it's something that's been played a lot. King of the Ring tournament.
King of the Ring, yep.
Yeah, like I hadn't really watched him or whatever, you know, and so when we were out there, it was just the chemistry of us being able to work together. I didn't know. I remember I didn't know what the F5 was, and he was trying to explain it to me, and he was like, you know, like I'll don't worry about it, I got you. and I was like, man, you know, I've heard that a few times. People don't realize I'm 235 pounds. You know, I'm usually heavier than I expect. And, you know, let's see what this guy's got, you know, what he's talking about. And when I was out there, it felt like he was the Incredible Hulk. You know, I felt like he was strong enough to throw me around like a rag doll. He's right. He didn't need my help. I didn't need to know what he was doing.
That's great.
honestly, I like to know because even though just knowing where you're going, you help. Now you realize you're helping them, but you know where to go instead of not knowing where to go. So I'd rather know where to go. But yes, he probably put you right where you.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Guido, you like working with him too? Was he easy to work with in the ring and everything?
Worked with him, a couple of times, and not like matches with
Sure, yeah.
6-man tag, a couple of spots with that.
Okay.
Is his audio going out?
I
for
think
you?
your audio is going out, Guido, a little bit here and there. We're having sometimes you're breaking in and out, I think.
You guys are too. I hear you breaking in and out.
Oh, really?
You're breaking it. Oh, you're breaking it.
You are breaking. Not you. Rob is too. So every once in a while, I see it flicker.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you want to try exiting out and coming back in? Maybe that might help it. See if that works.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It does sound like a lot of work.
Well,
When I think Raw.
Oh, look at that.
Damn,
Damn, look at that.
Papers for sending me this big doobie.
It's like a pillow.
Yeah, and dog toy.
All right, far out.
This would be big if I didn't have the other one, but they send me cool stuff, and I just want to say thanks. Raw papers are the best. I can't smoke white papers ever after being introduced to Raw. Now, whenever I smoke white papers, I just taste the paper. So if you haven't tried unbleached, natural Raw, whether they're the organics or the classics, huge difference, and the flavor is night and day. And then here's something too, gimmick they have where I think I might have told you about this, but you put a joint, you put a joint in the middle of it so that you can like pass this.
It's like a frisbee
to your stoner buddy on the beach.
That's great.
Catch it, hit it, pass it. Quiz.
I'm looking at it, yeah. No,
Yeah,
can you really do that? I thought you were fucking
around. No, this guy, the owner of Raw, if you don't follow him on Instagram, I recommend it. But he's always inventing new stuff, like new ways to solve problems that every smoker deals with, but also just different ways to hold it, to hold it or to put it out temporarily or whatever. He must just sit around like all day and think of new things that people who smoke weed would find interesting, and he fucking invents it. So
how about that? That's pretty crazy. Yeah, impressive stuff.
Natural way to roll.
Natural way. Frisbee it up too. Frisbee it up. Here's a question for you, Guido. Any Booker T memories or stories?
Booker T was always funny in the locker room. Nothing. Just always listening to commentary matches. I think I'm gonna test it out. You're sitting at the monitor. He would as the action's going on. What he pretty much does now on NXT, we used to listen to back in the dressing room. Big Bob Holly coming at you over here. Big Bob. But
he likes to pop himself.
Saying it?
He likes to pop himself, doesn't he?
But he popped me. I don't know if he popped you. I thought he was very funny, But no, I don't have any. I never really, I didn't really travel around with him and stuff. But but funny guy,
So that's pretty neat. I didn't know he was just backstage, like goofing around like that. I wonder, do you think that's kind of helped him with the commentary stuff and getting into the commentary aspect?
Totally. That's what I heard.
Wow. He would do it in the back to a T. Exactly what he did on NXT. He was doing that in 2005.
That's
but
crazy.
That's, believe it or not, and I think Rob can attest to this, John Cena ended up getting his whole start is when he was rapping on the bus. Back in the day, he was just doing house shows. This is like 2002, 2003. And he used to rap when we would go everywhere. And that's, and then all of a sudden, I think Stephanie heard it or however the rumors went. And all of a sudden, that's how he ended up. He was just rapping on the boys in the bus, and he was good at it. I could do something. Nunzio, I'm not saying he did me, but just go down the line off the top of his head.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then the office caught wind of it or Stephanie. And I believe that's how we started, as starting his rap gimmick. So
yeah.
So it all starts in the dressing room sometimes.
That's awesome. Damn, that's great. Did you see the potential for Cena back then too? When you were riding with him and stuff?
Did I what?
Did you see like the potential in Cena, like for being a pretty big star, or is it kind of like just don't know at that point?
I didn't know at that point.
Yeah.
Like when I started with him, actually, believe it or not, I think it was like 2002. I think he was just starting on TV doing the rap. You know, he was really just starting. You know, so I mean, God bless him. Nice guy. Love his father.
Oh yeah.
Dad manages me up in Boston every once in a while.
Oh no shit! I didn't know that.
Yes, his father, John Senior. Rob, you know his father.
I never heard about his dad.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Really? Dad?
He's
a bigger character than John.
Yeah. Did he do any? He didn't do anything before John, right? He was just famous as John's dad for a minute.
That's it. Close to John.
I was at an autograph signing with him one time, and I didn't understand. I didn't know. I'd never heard of that, and I was like, "What? John Cena's dad is signing?" And
Oh, wow.
he did something on TV where fans knew him for a minute. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Bro, and he would wave. He would love talking to the people. He's a great guy. I love him. He does a lot of independence, and he just managed me. This promoter brought me in, and he managed me and Ray Jazz, my partner. It was about a year ago. So he does some stuff up in the Boston area where he lives. I think he just loves the business. That's he loves it.
That's cool.
Awesome. Hell
Great.
Yeah. Man, yeah, Ray Jazz. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just, we're putting this documentary of Sabu together, and I heard that the footage where we're in Worcester, Massachusetts, I believe, this famous footage of Sabu cracking Sandman with a beer bottle, like running off a stage or something. But also it's where Sabu and I had a tag match. I don't know if I think it was the Eliminators, but I could be wrong about that. But anyway, I learned this night not to ever have a table upside down because how dangerous it was. But me and Fonzie were pulling a table in, legs were straight up, and out of nowhere, Sabu just came out from the sky doing a moonsault, and his face landed like right on the leg. I saw it go right into his face, and he instantly like rolled right out of the ring with a trail of blood. And I thought, oh my God, we just killed Sabu. Like it was almost like one of those slow motion things. It happened right in front of me, and I couldn't stop it. Just like no. And what happened was look at him right there, bleeding fucking out of his fucking face. Up there. Anyway, he
you got it.
Damn it! Where's the TV? There. What happened that night though was that the leg of the table went right into his mouth and knocked his back teeth out. He had to fucking wire his teeth back in and shit afterwards and stuff. But I learned afterwards how dangerous it is to have a table upside down. And I learned a lot in ECW, unfortunately at the expense of others. But I mean, I was green. I started in January 96 in ECW. So not only had I only been working, since 90. So, this is my 6th year. I've only been working 5 years or so. But also, I just graduated from high school like 5.5 years ago, like in '89.
And
so
too.
By 96, I am a baby. But but I'm thinking about some of the things I learned. Like throwing chairs at someone, busting them open, and being like, "Oh, I guess I should have better control over that when I do that." Like I had a little bit of a name when I went there because of All Japan, WCW, Indies, but I was green as fuck, looking back at it and stuff. But speaking of Sabu, I got an update.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we are talking June 21st is going to be services in Lansing, Michigan for Sabu. There's going to be services to be announced soon. That will be scheduled here in Las Vegas. They're talking about doing it in the Northeast too, possibly Philadelphia. I've also heard someone wanting to do it in New York City, but the family had the Las Vegas and Lansing in mind. I believe they'll get behind the one in Philly too if that's what we're gonna do. But we do have a place now. It's called the Copper Moon is the name of the funeral home for June 21st. 1247 Center Street, Lansing, Michigan. So we can put that up in print for everybody. But last week, I said we're gonna have an update with the place, and now we got it. So I will be there, and I will see any of you that make it June 21st, Copper Moon, and you'll be there too, baby.
Yep.
So
I'll be there.
So that's our update. We're still waiting on the other stuff that we were waiting on.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, yeah. If you fans are just
What day is that? June 21st.
June 21st, let me take a look at the calendar.
I haven't looked.
June 21st is a Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday, yeah. So almost 2 weeks from now.
Wow.
Didn't I fly you to LA for Louie's funeral quiz?
No, you did not.
I did not. Okay. I thought I did. I remember offering. I was like so brokenhearted. I was trying to do whatever I could, telling anybody that wanted to go that couldn't make it, I'd pay for their flight. And like Louie was like the first person that was really close to me that passed away. And I was just so like, I tell you, I don't get shocked now, but I think I was shocked back then. It might have been one of the last times I was truly shocked, but I really didn't know that was an option. Like that's what we were looking at as a possibility with our recreational choices. But I remember trying to get everybody there because it just felt like being around his family and other people that loved him was the thing to do to heal the void and just to even take proper action. But the reason I'm bringing up Louie also is a story that I don't think, I guess nobody else, there's no one else around to appreciate it, but this was an inside joke. When this was like 96, Louie was still around, and Louie said to Sabu, he said, if you come to my funeral, will you wear your wrestling gear?
Oh my God.
And Sabu was like, what? No, fuck you. I'm not coming to your funeral. You better not fucking die. He goes, no. But dude, if you do, like, if I die first and you come to my funeral, will you wear your wrestling gear? He's like, no, stop talking like that. He was like, dude, you got to. That would be so awesome.
Oh my God.
And so it became like an inside joke, where Sabu told me the story in front of Louie, like he wants me to wear my wrestling outfit. But he said if I come to his funeral, dude, you got to. He's like, quit talking like that. You're not going anywhere. So of course when Louie died, me and Sabu had to talk about that, the possibility of wearing his outfit. And now I'm just left alone thinking of doing that myself.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, yeah. So fans weren't aware. Family, friends, and fans are invited to Sabu services at in Lansing, Michigan. So, and that is June 21st at Copper Moon, 1247 Center Street. We'll be sure to include the info in the details of the podcast too.
Cool. 1247. Is that what you said?
1247. Yeah.
Cool.
If I didn't say that. Yep.
It's 3 p.m. By the
3
way.
p.m. 3 p.m. is the time. All right. Cool. And that would be Central Time, right? I would imagine.
Well, no, they're Eastern.
Eastern. Okay. Oh, is it Eastern? Okay.
Yes,
cool.
sir.
All right. Hey, so we got a couple of Mafia questions.
All right.
Yeah.
Get it.
Kyle asked you, Guido, if you have any La Costa Nostra antidotes without breaking a Martha, and Maddie follows up with Mafia stories. New York Mafia stories.
Wait, say that again?
Do you have any Mafia stories?
No, I was never in the Mafia.
Yeah.
Maybe some of your uncles, though, I'm thinking.
My wife's over there, my son. I was always Howard Beach. I've been going down there since I was, 5 years old. I'm pretty much, not until this day, because not too many of my family members left, but for 30 years I did. And I was intrigued with the Mafia, with Gotti and stuff. And because Howard Beach, and my family grew up in Howard Beach, and it was only right down the street where all the mob guys hung out. But I was never into it, but I was always intrigued by it. And to this day, I always look up stories online and certain things that happen in certain things in Queens and Howard Beach. But, you know, I don't have any ties to the mob. I was never.
Yeah.
I have Howard Beach, and my family grew up there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, how was it to?
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, what's that?
I'm sorry. Did you go to Skinny Joey Molino cheesesteaks?
I haven't been there yet. No.
That's a big Philadelphia. He was the John guy in Philadelphia. He's there all the time. I went.
Yeah. I have been to that cheesesteak place when it was the old owner.
Yeah, and Sabu took a picture with Skinny Joey Molino 2 weeks before he passed.
Did he really?
Did online? Look at it.
Yeah, I never saw that. With Joey and Skinny Joey was there.
Skinny Joey was there, took a picture with him, and that was a week before me, and I didn't get a picture with him, or 2 weeks before me. And Skinny Joey was there when I was there, but the line was big, the last shit going on. I didn't want to be there.
I thought I saw something that he was there, but I mean that Sabu was there, but I didn't remember. I didn't know Skinny Joey was. That's amazing.
He took a picture with him. Dig it out. You'll find it. All you gotta do is ask. They'll send it to you. It's out there. I saw it.
He was in Philly the night before he died. You know.
Was that a day he died? Was that it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he died technically Sunday morning, but it was so early. It's like late Saturday night, and he just came home from Philly where he was Friday. He did that podcast. It's the last footage that we have seeing him, talking and answering questions and shit. He went home, and his girlfriend said that he couldn't hear. He couldn't hear all night out of one ear. It was really weird. He wasn't feeling good, and he wanted to go to the hospital. Now, Gwez, if Sabu says he wants to go to the hospital, that's some shit. Like, he never would want to go. He would never volunteer. I would never volunteer. And I got that from him. He's way worse than me. And he was saying, I think I need to go to the hospital on Saturday night. And then later on that night, he passed. And we don't know the cause of death yet.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, we still don't know? Okay. You know what? I could send you a picture. It's him. I remember Sabu actually had a button shirt, and it was open. Stomach showing. I think I'm gonna go on Skinny Joey Molino's Instagram later, and I'll pull it up. I think that's where I saw it, and I'm like, what? There. That was like a week after I was there, which apparently just passed the next week. I'll send you guys it.
Okay. Yeah, totally. That'd be awesome.
I wish I would have known more about the Philly Mafia back when I spent so much time there. I was.
Skinny Joey Molino back in '96, Rob, when we were wrestling there all the time, he was the fucking boss. He fucking ran Philadelphia. We didn't even know it. We were doing our fucking own world. We were running ECW Arena.
Isn't that crazy? And also the guy that owns the Elks, the ECW Arena, I've been told that he's connected. And what's that?
What's his name? Marty. You know who he is, Marty.
I thought it was Charlie or something. I'm not really sure.
Heyman knows it very well, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know him like people think I know. I know him. I think he says hi to me every time I'm there. It's like, hey, it's that same looking face, but I really don't know who I'm talking to. And what's that?
He owns it for like 40 years now.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I need to look into him. But I drove around, looked at the house where Chicken Man Phillip tested, where they blew him up on his porch, and shit like that. Ron Provide and Stanford, all them guys, and of course Nicky Scarfo, which was the predecessor to Joey Molino taking over.
For him,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Meanie adds too that he went to Nicky Scarfo Jr., Mark Scarfo, and Phil Leonardi Jr. too. He went to
Meanie grew up in fucking.
What do you mean he went to him?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that means he went to. Yeah, what Meanie follow up if you.
You know what? I remember Meanie telling me one time, and this was so long ago, but I was just starting to get into Mafia stuff. Like it was starting to. I'd been bitten by the bug, and I remember Meanie telling me, if I'm not mistaken, that he went to school with the Castellanos. You know, tell me if I'm
Maybe that's what he meant. Yeah. Is he went?
Yeah.
Went to grade school.
Oh, grade school. Is that? Oh, okay. Oh, went to grade school. Wow. How about that? Dang, that's crazy.
Castellanos though, right? Meaning because he said all those guys too. But
Kids, not him himself, because he guy's 80.
Yeah, Nicky Scarfo Jr., Mark Scarfo, and Phil Leonardi Jr.
Yeah.
Is who he went to grade school with. How about
okay.
that? Wow. Craziness. That's wild.
Yeah, that's yeah, like for me, like it's part of what's so fascinating about it is like that life is so much different than mine, you know, that it's hard to imagine growing up around that, you know, like, but for other people it's normal, you know.
Yeah.
That's how they grew up.
Man. A lot. Hang out, Rob. Remember if you walk out the back gate of the ECW arena and you make a right, that first bar on the right, Anthony, all the guys back, that's closed down now. They're redoing it. But the Mafia guys back in the day, like Skinny Joe Molino, that was like that little, not theirs only. They hung out all over the place, but that was one of their stops. Because I remember back in the 90s, we always, me, Tracy, Tommy, and 94 after the shows, because we were always on early. Shows going on, we would fucking get dressed. We're done.
It's like one block. Right?
Yeah.
It's so close.
It's one block.
Yeah.
Drinking bar and everything, but all the Philadelphia Mafia used to hang out there. That when we were there, I'm just saying, through the years. I'm not saying they hung out when we were there, but from talking to all the people, Skinny Joe Molino and those guys, I asked many a times, you know, and talked about them. Even up to like 3 years ago, they finally just closed down last year.
Wow. That's
Right.
wild. Yeah, I remember seeing a few bars by the ECW arena and stuff like that, visiting for MLW and everything, and different events that were going on down there at the ECW arena. What was I gonna? Oh yeah, Guido and Rob was there too. Speaking of Philadelphia and ECW arena, was when NXT came. Talk about your experience, like going into NXT, working with Tony D'Angelo and that whole kind of thing. That was kind of neat to see that all tie together. That how they did with all that stuff.
Yeah, it was just fun being part of it. You know, I was glad they had, a select few of us, that was there. And it was great being back there. It was a fun time. And I'm glad because they have their little fashion, which is like the type of thing, but not the FBI, whatever they do. But everybody's like, it's funny. When I did that, everybody's like, how do you feel to be back at the arena? I'm like, dude, I wrestle here like fucking every 2 months.
It's true, too.
I've been here for 30 years. And honestly, at one point, I was there like 4 times in a year. That's a lot. But it's basically every 3 months, 4 months, different promotions. So it wasn't like people were like, oh, how do you feel to be back? I'm like, oh, because MLW ran there. I did a bunch of shit for them there. TNA ran there. I did a bunch of shit for them. So like when I went back with WWE, I was just there maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago for another group. So, I'm not discrediting it. It was great because it was WWE.
Right.
That's great. So, but to be people, how's it feel to be back in the arena? I never really left the arena.
No.
Even after that, since then.
Yeah.
So,
it's been a regular experience. Absolutely. You mentioned Ray Jazz too. He is quite the talent, dude. Like seeing him wrestle, doing matches with MLW, and I think he did TNA too a little bit too, right? Or am I mistaken on that? But he's really good.
Stuff with me and Zach Clayton. We did the FBI. We did a couple of shows. Right now, he's doing the New Japan Dojo. He's down in California. He did like a 2-month thing in there, and he's trying. He's a young guy, and he's a stud. I mean, he's ranked 6th in the country in amateur wrestling, but he's also a great professional wrestler. Like it's not like he's one-dimensional. He could do that, but he also could work. So hopefully, he gets an opportunity, one day with the big time, and Zach too. And we're having fun right now. Me, Zach Clayton, and Ray are doing the FBI. And it's fun.
It's pretty good to see. It's neat to see it. All different iterations of the FBI and stuff happening. I like it.
It doesn't end. The new carnations keep coming out.
Right? Yeah, it does. It keeps on going. It keeps on going. I like it. Jem the Don says, thanks for all the cool RVD guests and the memories, RVD fans. Thanks, Jem the Don. Appreciate it.
Right on. And the OWA show that we had in Chicago, fans brought some gifts for RVD. I appreciate it. Here's one that made it home.
Rubber chicken.
It's
with a chain.
It's a chicken with a chain, and it's very emotional.
I bet the dogs love that.
Dogs go crazy with it. Yeah. So anyway,
Somebody
what's that?
somebody really gave you that?
Somebody gave that to me, and man, I was like, I was in the mood when I was there, and I kept squeezing that, and I'm like, man, he gets me. Like I feel
He gets you.
we really bonded like during that night. Like,
Right now, I should have it on your show, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're popping him big time now. Whoever gave you that.
Oh,
What's Daddy
Oh, they're
doing?
loving it.
what do you think?
Maddie says Hulk Hogan was the head of the Philadelphia Mafia. I don't think he was. I don't think he was, Maddie, but way to talk.
No, it was Scarfo in the
Scarfo,
80s.
baby, Scarfo.
Depending on what year you're talking about, but that's crazy though. Minnie went to school with Phil Leonetti Jr. because like his dad was, Phil Leonetti was Nicky Scarfo's nephew and partner in crime that like flipped on him and ended up, like fucking yeah, you can see interviews of him like wearing wigs and stuff, trying to hide his identity for years ago when he flipped. But yeah, him and Scarfo did all kinds of everything together. He's murders, and then they flipped, and he's just like a sociopath. He's like, I mean, I didn't, I try to do the right thing. I mean, yeah, I killed people, but I wasn't that bad of a guy.
What's that?
well, what they did is they killed people within their organization.
Yeah, that's what they always say. But if you study it long enough, I got about 100 examples of where that didn't quite work out. Exceptions. Yeah. Bugsy Siegel used to say. Bugsy Siegel is famous for saying that we only kill our own.
There's some collateral damage.
John Gotti's son. They went after him. They killed his ran him up. But to that guy.
Wait, which John Gotti? They didn't mean to run him over, dude.
No.
That one?
The neighbor they killed because he run.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don Favara. Well, yeah.
In the 80s, but you know what? They went to him and they sent messages for that guy to move, and he didn't move, and he stayed, and that's why they killed him. If they told me that, if I ran that guy over, that kid, John Gotti's son, they told me to move, I'd be fucking out of there in a heartbeat. Like, see you later. I'm leaving.
Well, they say he was on his way, just not quick enough,
But yeah, exactly. Not quick enough. And that came out during Sammy the Bull's testimony because, he sold everybody out, and that was one of the murders.
That's what I wanted to ask you, too, because like you said, Howard Beach, and I think of the Gottis, but I also think like John Gotti's, a couple of his right-hand men were the Carneglia brothers. And I wonder, like they had a junkyard, and then they had like barrels of acid, and they supposedly took that guy John Favara, the neighbor that accidentally hit the Gotti kid, and they supposedly dissolved his body in that acid. But I was just wondering if you knew where that was, because I think that's in Howard Beach too, but you don't know. John Carneglia and Charlie. I think it's Charlie, but yeah, you don't know. It's just a junkyard.
No, I don't know. It's funny. Caruso ran a show about a year and a half ago in Howard Beach, and it's funny because I just, I put John Gotti's address in because I drive by his house, but Victoria still lives there, and I did, and I just to drive by and see the house, And the funny thing is, they still have these old school cameras from like the 80s,
Wow.
like that date, the house looks exactly the same.
Wow.
I just drove by everything because I was wrestling right down the street, So
we do it.
John, you're talking about John Farrar because he was a neighbor I thought was connected right to the back of the house, and I was wondering where he lived, but I didn't know if I had it right because I didn't know exactly where he lived.
Oh, okay. See where they spray painted on his garage and shit. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, so many. It's weird to think too, because like I lived in Philly for 5 years before moving to Pittsburgh, and like I was so unaware of like the mob scene that was
all
going
around you. Right.
Yeah, just crazy. It's wild to think about that stuff.
Yeah, it is.
But Brian, Bill Blue Meanie says Phil Jr. disappeared from school when his dad flipped. Wow, how about that? So he was gone.
Wow, he'd have to, I guess.
Yeah. Jeez, that's crazy stuff. Maddie added, is that chicken named Vince Russo?
Maybe.
I
don't know. What's your name, yo? He hasn't told me yet.
Bro.
Yes, that's it yet.
Well, Aquarium, we already Guido already talked about this, how he was training with Billy Robinson. So pretty he was pretty good teacher then, huh? Guido, pretty good.
Definitely a good teacher, but at the stage of the game when I met him, he was pretty much crippled with his knees and stuff. So it wasn't like I can get in there and spar with him. Like he would put me in holds and show me how to do moves with the rest of the guys. It wasn't like at that time that I met him, he wasn't able to wrestle with me.
Yeah, sure.
Knees were bad, but he could still teach submissions. This was his tail end because UWFI paid him to train people. He would go to Japan all the time with us, all the time. We would go every 3 weeks back and forth, and he would train me, Billy Scott, Gene Lake, like I brought up earlier, in Nashville, Tennessee. They paid for my apartment to live there. I lived with Gene Leidick. They paid for our food. They paid for everything. Then they would pay us. Would pay me to train every week, like $300 a week, and all our food. And then every 3 weeks, we go to Japan. And at that time, we were making $1,000. This is in the 90s. So it was just about they were paying for everything anyway. I didn't really need money,
Yeah.
And young anyway, and if I needed help, my parents were helping me anyway, but it kind of was working out for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. And like to be so kind of young in the game of all that and getting all that kind of experience early on it's got to be beneficial, and it helped you ultimately build your well-rounded wrestling style kind of thing too.
Yeah, it was weird though, and none of you guys Bill Robinson, but back in '95 when I met him, there was no internet and stuff. So I lived in New York, so I honestly did not realize who Billy Robinson was, only because I never saw the TV.
Yeah,
come in my area, so I never knew who he was. Because he never made it in WWE. And I'll tell you, he gave me great advice, Billy. He told me, and this is before I was even in ECW, it's the 90s. He told me, if you ever want to make money, he goes, don't be like me. Problem with Billy was he would not put people over. People were afraid of him. And if he didn't want to do the job, he wasn't going to do it. So now promoters are afraid to book him. They're not going to book this guy because we have no control over him. And nobody can fucking do anything about it. He'll just stretch you. So everybody was afraid of him. So it cost him work. So I think he realized that later on in life. So when I was training with him down there, and this before ECW and all that stuff, I never knew if I would ever do anything in the business. But I never forget him saying, and I didn't understand that time because I didn't know really who he was until later on in life. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I was training with this fucking guy because there was no internet and stuff. But now I know who he was. But that is advice that he gave me. He's like, do good business. He goes, don't be like me, what he was telling me. And there's a difference of you not wanting to do the job and then getting forced to do it. But the problem with Billy was if he got in the ring and didn't want to do it, there's nobody was going to challenge him.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's something to definitely consider for sure. Right.
Danny Hodge, unless you're one of them guys.
Yeah. Oh, Danny Hodge, something like that for sure.
God, I wrestled in Japan with him. Not wrestled with him, but he was there when I was there.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
Danny Hodge, one of my first matches, and I have it on a VHS tape. I was like a protege of Billy Robinson, one of my first matches, because I trained with him in Tennessee, and that's what they brought me up as. And I was in Danny Hodge, and Billy came to the show, and it was like an honor for me and everything. And that's when Danny Hodge was crushing the apples.
Yeah, with the bare hand stuff. That's crazy.
They always play the crickets, too.
That's wild.
Cricket.
Gene Leidick, I looked him up, and Gene Leidick is definitely the same dude that was Jeff Husker in South Atlantic, and he was like a Gary Albright gimmick. He was an amateur wrestler, I think, from Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah, Nebraska. He's from Nebraska. That has to be him. That's where he's from.
Yeah.
And Gene Leidick got into it a couple times in Japan.
Gary and Gene.
Gary and Gene Leidick got into it a couple times in Japan.
Small world. Okay, yeah.
Well, the Jeff Husker name makes sense then because of the Huskies. Then
right.
Never heard. If you mention that name, I would never know who that is.
Yeah.
I was like what he went by in 92, 93. And I wrestled him in South Atlantic when he had a hood and he was like the executioner or something. Like you said, there's been a million in one of those. But yeah, he was an amateur wrestler, very much like Albright. It was kind of the same character. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Gary even had the big N, right?
Oh, I think so.
Red singlet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he had an N on it.
N. He had an N, but it was a red singlet with an N.
Right on. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Yeah.
Rob, Guido was mentioning how Billy Robinson was like, he didn't get other people to put it, like he protected himself. And like Sheik was notorious for that too, like in the business and stuff like that. When you were training with Sheik and you and Sabu both, did you kind of learn like, okay, like, yeah, we can't keep getting ourselves to not lose, basically, not do the job, basically. Did you kind of learn from that kind of lesson, I guess?
I don't think so. Not from the Sheik. You know, he was so early on and it was so beginning of my career that, you know, my assignment starting out was, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, what they call you, what anyone is doing with you, get as much ring time as you can, get experience for the first couple of years, boom, boom, boom. So it wasn't like I was brought up and started from zero with protect your gimmick. It was, you know, it's quite the opposite. So it was some time before I felt like I needed to learn how to protect my brand, because then my brand was becoming worth something. You know, right. And then I would see Sabu. He used to, and he said it on this show too. When he used to work, he used to charge promoters one price if he was going over, a different price if he was doing the job.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Really? He did that.
Yeah. So I knew.
You make more money if you win. I'm like, no, whatever my price I said. He's the only one that's ever done that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
I'm WWE and you're going against. I mean, I'm talking about like, you know.
Yeah. All right. That's interesting to know, because I was kind of thinking about that. I was like, I wonder if you guys kind of learned like, oh, like Sheik was overprotective sometimes, like protected his gimmick and all that stuff. I wonder if you guys kind of were like, oh, we better kind of like find the balance of being able to work and when to do the favor, so to speak. I guess.
It seems like for me, like it was, I mean, nobody really wants to lose every time.
Sure, yeah.
That's the thing that people don't understand on the outside when they think it's just like doing a movie or acting. No, it's not. You gotta, because your decisions on winning or losing or protecting your value every single night determines how much money you're going to be making in your career. And that's something that's like so hard to explain. And it's so different and so uncontrolled in the traditional fashion, like with unions and set prices, because no one's set value. The market value on everyone's circumstantially different. Everyone's individual. So because of all that, I remember like in 93, like December 92, I went to WCW. I was there till May of 93. And that's the first time I remember like I was on TV getting beat, and I could feel like it was hurting my long-term
value
goal. Yeah. I think it was Eddie Mansfield, maybe they called me Rob Von Jobber or something like that. Yeah.
Rob, I didn't mean to cut you off. It had to be around that same time because that was around 93, 94 with Eddie Mansfield.
Yeah.
So doing WCW around that same time, and that's when I did that too.
And then I remember like, well, I mean, I'm getting beat, but I'm on TV, getting beat by established people or whatever. But then I could see where other promoters were saying, well, how are we going to push you as our champion if you're on TV getting beat? And then it was explained to me like that way. It wasn't. Promoters are really protective too. A lot of them, not all of them. But a lot of them, like when they have their talent crew, like they're pissed. Like Bobby Fulton, for instance, everything we've heard, he doesn't even want any other show to have a poster anywhere near his his awareness. If he drives down the highway and sees a poster on a telephone pole, I believe that offends him, and he feels like boundaries have been crossed, and those are fighting words, and shots are fired. That's how he looks at that. It's so stupid. But on the talent side of that, it's always been like that. Like promoters trying to advise me, don't work for this guy or don't work for that guy. Well, we don't be doing any jobs. They'll be putting their guys over, and that what's that going to do for you here? And like it was explained in a way where it fit into where it fit into my real life as I was doing it. So it wasn't part of like preparing and training and this is what you need to know in the real world. It was more like, hey, this is the fork in the road that you're on right now. What are you going to do about it?
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. That makes plenty of sense.
Oh.
So Guido, is there anything else what are you up to moving forward? Did you got any events coming up that you want to plug or do anything coming up regarding appearances or anything like that?
We're going to Cleveland this weekend.
Oh,
John Thorne. Rob, you know John Thorne?
I don't think so.
Love him. Yeah, he loves a great promotion.
Fonzie loves him. Yeah, Fonzie works with him a lot, right?
I might know him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you might know him, Rob. Maybe you don't know him, but I got that this weekend. And then the next few weeks are busy. I don't have my schedule in front of me. I didn't know.
That's okay.
You can find me on Instagram, Nunzio_Guido.
Yeah, there we
That's
go.
Well,
So
Guido, one of the fucking, I forget which way it goes. But.
It's Nunzio_Guido. I just looked it up beforehand. You're welcome.
All right. Maybe I'll get you on OnlyWrestlers pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've had a chance to talk to you about that yet.
Yeah.
OnlyWrestlers. It's a venture that me and Katie are doing. It's a platform so you can get fans to stay in touch with you, subscribe to you, whatever. And then when you join the platform, we run shows too. So if you want to wrestle more, a lot of wrestlers are joining so that they can get booked. And our next show is in New Orleans, and it is, I believe, July 10th, right?
Yeah.
Going already.
What's that?
So you got this going already. It's not.
Yeah, this is going to be our third show, and we've been doing the platform since October. We got over 300 wrestlers signed up on it, and fans in like close to 30 different countries. And we do live stream, and like you'll have a profile, and you can do photos, videos, whatever. You got a store there, so you can sell your shit, and we're always adding stuff to it. To now, a new feature is personalized video messages where fans can go right to RVD at OnlyWrestlers and request a personal slameo.
A slameo. Oh, I like it. Like cameo. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it. Good stuff.
Slameo.
I know.
And there's other features coming too with stuff like that. But we're always adding to it. Anyway, Gwiz, I don't know if you never even heard about it, OnlyWrestlers?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay. Cool. I'll talk to you about it a little more on off the air.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Some good stuff. Maddie says spark one for Sabu and Mike Awesome, ECW legends. I'm an ECW legend. Hell yeah, Mike
Awesome. Sure. I'm about to.
You know, it's funny about Mike Awesome. The day he no-showed, I was waiting for him at the airport. I think it was Buffalo, wherever he was. And I didn't travel all the time with him, but that weekend it was me, him, and maybe a couple other guys. And he never showed up. And, we just went to, I think Spike was one of them, and we went to the show. And that's when Mike Awesome no-showed our show. And he
didn't even bother telling you when you guys had coordinated riding together?
Yep. Didn't tell any of us. We waited. He didn't call.
Rude.
And not that I traveled with him all the time, but that weekend, because at that time we traveled with different people, 3-4 people.
Right.
And I traveled with Michael a lot, not a lot, but a bunch of different times. But he never showed up that day. And
I'm not sure we've talked about anybody except Meanie that hasn't passed away on the show tonight.
You're right.
Everyone we mentioned is like in the on the other side. So
you're right.
Everybody, it's crazy. We got a lot of dead friends. Thank you, Rib Shot. Is Rib Shot on here?
Rib Shot gave us a 5 pounds. So we got some British money coming in.
Oh,
So
dude, if you guys don't know about Rib Shot, you have to look them up, follow them everywhere, but look them up on YouTube. They're so funny. They're animated little cartoons, but they take in of wrestling interviews. They're going to do it of our podcast too. Like if
oh shit, really?
Yeah, and animated. It's so
Oh,
funny.
I gotta
And they're helping me with Only Wrestlers.
That's
and
awesome.
that's something we're working on. I told him I was going to hit him back yesterday, and damn it, now that I realize I didn't. But yeah, working on. I scripted out this little commercial that he's working on. I can't wait to get it done. But
Cute.
yeah, it's awesome. Rib Shot, check it out. Also, Instagram too. You can follow him on there.
Oh yeah.
But thanks for that, dude.
Yeah.
Rob, are you part of that virtual basement video game? It's a couple of years now.
I know that's the motion capture that I was doing at Gino Caruso's school that I was telling you about with Devin Storm. That was that. Yeah. So yes. And it could turn out that by the time it comes out, maybe it could work out in my favor, because like I'm under the WWE Legends deal.
Legends deal.
Sometimes that interferes, sometimes it doesn't. And I did the thing with Virtual Basement so long ago that I don't even know which one I did first now, but
right. Well, definitely check it out. But you know what? Let you slide. Come on.
Yeah.
Let you slide on.
Make money.
Tell them to look for the new rap song with RVD, baby.
Oh yeah. There's a new Key Glock song. So anyone that loves rap knows Key Glock. And yeah, I'll show y'all. Money Habits bonus. I can't play it on here probably because YouTube.
Oh, we get flagged.
Yeah.
Can you play like so many seconds or no?
You can play like a couple, like it'll have to be like 4 seconds, I think, without.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But someone sent that to me. Louie's sister, actually, Tina said
This is the song, y'all. Y'all go look it up. He shouts out RVD.
Does he really? Key Glock?
Yep.
All right.
Katie was pretty excited about it. I didn't realize how over he is with everybody.
Oh yeah, I'll have to. I'm putting that in the
my brother's like, that's
Jesus.
My brother's like, that's the biggest flex of all time. Because we like rapping together. Well, not me and Rob, me and my brother.
Yeah. Yeah, Rob's not a rapper.
Rob, your song, your ring music, where was it when you filmed the video? Elks Lodge?
Yeah.
Elks Lodge. I remember downstairs by the thing.
The checkered floor.
Elks. It was Elks.
Yeah, with the black and white checkered floor tile.
Yes, that was it. We did the commercial. You did the commercial. Then we did some stuff, but I don't think I was in it. I was in it, but they cut all my stuff out of it, so I don't think.
So
I did it, but didn't end up in it. I didn't make the cut.
Yeah, that was the same song "Walk" that Pantera does that I come out to, and Paul hired this band Kilgore to cover it, to redo it, so that we could own the rights to it. So when I was in WWE, when I first got there in 2001, they used this other music, and I never really gave it a chance. Looking back at it, it was really good, but I didn't like it because I was like, hey, what happened to Walk? Like I'm Walk, we're connected. And then I talked to Shano about it and was trying to get Walk back. And then out of nowhere, he threw out One of a Kind, telling me Swerve as a Swerve, you know what I mean? And so the whole time I was like, but what about Walk? And I thought since Kilgore already redid it, that means we own it. But I guess that's not really the way it works with publishing rights and all that shit. But in the meantime, I've had some pretty cool songs.
Yeah. I remember that one, though. That was like a big thing. We were in there. We saw all the production. We're like, wow, Rob's getting his own band going on.
Like, yeah, that was a pretty cool music video.
That's
pretty fun. Pretty fun to this weekend, by the way, Katie and I are at the River City Con in St. Augustine, Florida.
Boom, look at all these people.
Dude, there's like 100 fucking wrestlers there.
It's like a massive Brady Bunch.
This thing looks huge. I'm not going to see a lot of guys. Put it back up.
Oh,
I'm
yep.
looking to see Too Cold Scorpio. You said you ran into him recently, right?
Yep. Ran into him recently in Pittsburgh. Yep. Mhm.
Looking forward to seeing Sarge and Kane and and also I think 2007 Molino looks hot too.
There you go.
Looking forward to
7.
I got Dory Funk. Dory Funk Jr. is going to be
Dory's there.
Mike
Nash is
Chioda.
there. Yep.
My bro. Yeah.
Kev Nash is there. Going to be there. Kurt Angle.
It looks like Skull Von Crush.
Oh yeah.
It looks like I think that's him right there.
Oh.
And looking MVP. Looking forward to seeing a lot of people there.
Yeah, it's star-studded.
It's really packed. That's a packed joint.
Yeah. Talking about packed joint. So we'll be there Saturday and Sunday, the 7th and the 8th.
Hell yeah. That's this weekend, guys. Today, St. Augustine, Florida. Check it out. If you're in the area, River City.
Go to Cleveland. I'll be in Cleveland. Forget about it.
Cleveland. AIW, right?
You'll see Nunzio.
Yeah. Yes. Hell yeah.
Whichever one you're closer to.
Yeah, that's it. Man, I tell you what, this has been a great episode. 14-year-old Dom would have marked out big time. I tell you that.
Awesome.
So thank you guys for doing this.
Thanks, Quiz. Thanks for coming on the show. I know Sabu loved you too, and we always had a good time. You know, never any bad thoughts. You know, I can't remember ever thinking like, yeah, man, fuck Guido, I'm gonna kick his ass. No. You know, like nothing but love.
First time with him, and he okayed that dude. Ever since then, I was good to go.
Didn't you sometimes play the video game in the Winnebago with us?
I played with you guys for a long time.
But yeah, we used to play that Sega Japanese video game that a bunch of us were Super Fire Pro Wrestling.
Fire Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. I never played it. I never played video games. But yes, you guys played there. Absolutely. Okay.
I thought I remembered you
hey, no.
Playing, you know, but yeah, just that time period though. Yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. Well, always happy to see you. Wish I could see you in Ohio, but I'll see you soon. Things don't work out, come down to St. Augustine. You're invited.
Talk about other things off the air. I'm going to give you a call. A couple of things.
Cool. Talk about OnlyWrestlers and shit. But
other stuff.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Van Dam fam.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dominator.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys. We'll see you next time here on One More Time.
Have a great weekend. Dirt She Dumb. All right, man. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
See you dudes next time.